Whoa, it's the illusion. Reporting from somewhere on Spaceship Earth. Talons out, baby. So I was listening to the Brianna Joy Gray Bad Faith podcast with that Vaush character, right? I've never really checked him out. He just, he's out there. And but I'm a big fan of Brianna Joy Gray. She's a progressive lefty, dude, and I don't have a problem with her, dude. I think she's a valid opinion out there. And so I was listening to their podcast, and that Vaush guy, what a pile, dude. That dude is just as bad as they come, man. Holy smoke, dude. And the reason I'm bringing this up is I think one of the problems that we face right now is people don't listen to other people. And the reason that I like certain people is because they're willing to have the conversation. They're willing to listen. They understand that no human being is monolithic in thought. I mean, some are, the NPCs are, for sure, dude. There's no shortage of the cult members out there. But the future, if we're ever going to pull off the future, because we can't save the system. The system is doomed to destruction because it's polarized and it's based upon, bad vibes and bombs and interest-bearing currency and oppression and all that kind of stuff. We know all that. But in order for us to reemerge from this, I don't know what it is, dude. Whatever this broken system is, we're going to have to realize that the only people we can take on the ride are the people that have a wider range of thoughts and opinions and are willing to restructure their mental narrative based upon new information, right? And right now in this time, I do think that it's super important to find people that are in a different ideological and political space that understand this and see what they bring to the table, right? So I have my lefties I like to follow and listen to, and because I like to see what's going on over there. Because at the end of the day, I'm not really that kind of a conservative either. I'm definitely not a MAGA. I'm definitely not one of those. Yeah, in the game that is America, I'd consider myself a patriot and a constitutionalist, and I drift way more to libertarianism than anything. But will always be anti-war, dude. I will always be against the military-industrial complex. I will always be against the police state. I will be against the FBI, the IRS, the whole thing, dude. But I also know the difference between human beings and institutions, right? So I don't need to be in any one camp because I have to live with who I am, right? I have to live in my dimensional space that I occupy down here in this lower dimensional realm. With that said, I will plug Brianna Joy Gray. I think she's I think she's in good faith, which is the irony of her Bad Faith podcast. And so she had this Vaush character on, and I was listening because I'm like, I wonder what this is all about, right? And I don't know, it just came up and I was curious, so I'm listening to it. But the reason I'm talking about this is the Vaush character is a bad human being, dude. Just a bad character, dude. And an agent of the state. You go listen to it yourself, dude. Bad Faith, Brianna Joy Vaush, and you just hear an agent of the state and the double talk and the hypocrisy and the whole thing. But there was one thing that he said that struck me as interesting. He said that he was worried about the right taking over and putting him in a camp, putting him in the camp. And I even rewound that a couple times. I go, did he just say that? And And I chuckled because that's why they don't want anyone listening to each other. The crazy right wingers think the same thing as the crazy left wingers, that they're all going to end up in a camp based upon the other person, which is ironic, which is super ironic, because they're both backing the state so that they don't. It's very weird. They're afraid of the state, but they are the state, but they're not. But what I'm trying to say is if people would listen to people they don't share the same narrative with, you find out a lot of interesting things. First of all, no wonder I don't listen to the Bosch guy. He's really just a creepy doomsday, black-pilled out, horrible human being, dude. So, that just says a lot about people that get in that camp. I mean, he's like seems to be sort of a left-wing Alex Jones-ish type of dude. Like everyone's coming to get you. But at least the gay frog, and I suppose this too, dude. There's information to be gleaned in the thing. But anyway, the reason I was making this was because at the end of the day, the military, industrial, pharmaceutical, big agra, satanic, pedo, abusive state is based upon fear. And as long as people on either side think the other side's coming to get them, the state wins. And again, that's why, if you really listen to more of these middle of the road people, whether they be on the more, I don't even know how to use the left-right narrative anymore, because it's ridiculous in a certain sense. It really is, but yeah, it's weird, man. I think as a person, I've always been like a lefty, dude. I'm a gun-toting hippie, dude. I am conservative and liberal at the same time, dude. I am. I'm anti-war, dude, right? I believe in life, which translates all the way to the divine spark. So I'm anti-war, I'm anti the big A too, dude, right? But I'm also pro-death penalty, but in a weird caveat to that is anyone who sentences someone to the death penalty and they're found to be corrupt or misusing justice have to face that fate themselves, right? I do believe in a very strong punitive reality for people that violate the sanctity of life, right? I have no problem saying that the corporations that destroy our ecosystems deserve to be taken out to the wall. At the same time, I understand that we're the ones that are supporting those same entities by our usage of their part of the grid. And this is where it's so very complex with the whole thing is the minute you remove the fear from your own life, the fear of your own complicity to the thing. I really think that when you listen to people on the right or the left who are really entrenched in these two polarized realities, what they're trying to do is remove their complicity with the broken system, dude. And I think the first thing you do is when you realize that you don't need to be afraid is that it's you don't need to be afraid of your own participation in what is arguably the evil empire, dude. We are all participating in the Death Star, dude. But what we do on the Death Star, like imagine this, and this is it just came to me like that. Is imagine you're on the Death Star, right? You're like some dude on the Death Star, but down in the Death Star in some like corner, you've got your organic hydroponic garden going on. And you're in there and you're changing the localized energy field within it. Like you don't have a choice. You're in on the Death Star. We are members of the United States of America, dude, the death cult, the military corporate industrial complex. What do we do within it, right? Do we sit and not admit our participation in it, not admit our part in it and pretend that like, oh, it doesn't apply to me? It totally does. And the minute you get to there, you realize that like you never had anything to be afraid of on the opposition because you've been the opposition your whole life to yourself by labeling one group of people as the enemies, which is how the whole thing works. Like as long as somebody is your enemy, the state, the evil empire wins, right? I want to do a whole story about a dude growing organic food in the bottom of the Death Star, dude. In the bowels of that's interesting. I'll have to ruminate on that story a little bit. But I remember, and then to wrap this up because I'm running long, this is how it is. So I was out, the story with the San Francisco Bay Bridge, the time travel machine and the whole thing. I was out there with that girlfriend of mine, right? And we were tripping and the whole thing, and I was afraid of the railing, right? There's the railing, and now they got the barrier up, but there was a railing. It comes to like here, dude, right? And there's like a gap underneath the bottom where your skateboard would go underneath it and go out to the ocean. I was terrified of the railing, right? So I'm walking, and if you know, on the Golden Gate Bridge, there's the highway is right there, dude, like right there. So I'm walking on the highway side. She was just as freaked. There's no railing on the highway and it's right there, but you're up above it a little bit, right? She was just as freaked about the highway. So we were walking and we were tripping, but we were walking where we were holding hands and leaning on each other's like leverage, pulling on each other to the point being that if either one of us like lost our grip while we were walking, she would have gone over the railing and I would have gone into the highway, meeting our demise on the other person's fear, right? And I sort of think that that's the whole like polarization, and why the polarization is so potent and so valid, because it's based upon fear. And you will ultimately, if the fear thing breaks, each person's gonna to realize the other person's demise, right? Like I'm not afraid of, not afraid of the water, but I'm afraid of the highway, but I'm going to end up in that person's scary reality and vice versa. And I really do think that's where we are. And one way to break that spell is to open our ears, man, and give other people a chance to express themselves and listen to what they have to say. Because when you find out what people have to say, you realize that their experience isn't that different and you have a lot more common ground. And when anyone says, I will just say this, is anyone who says that somebody else is a fascist, that it's the finger with the three fingers pointing back at you. The name calling is them calling themselves the name. It's very, I was listening to this podcast and I go, the Brianna Joy Gray is very not that name caller, dude. And this Vouch dude, just everybody's a name and a label and this and that. And she's like, no, dude, like, it's not like that. And this dude was just so doomsday. And this is the mindset that people need to, because I know that there's a conservative element to the group here and the people that listen to my channel, but like, dude, like, don't do that, because it's no different than that. Just because you're not advocating, purple-haired weirdo teachers with their weird flags, right? Doesn't mean that the other group over here doesn't see your camo fatigue teachers and their weird flags the same way you see their things. And I got it, because I can definitely go way more over here, but I also understand over there too, because I know people I've made a point in my life of knowing people from all spectrums, dude. And at the end of the day, the polarized people are the same. That's the scary part, dude. But they don't see it because they're polarized. And that's how they shield themselves from the truth that the enemy they hate is the same as them, but just the other side of the coin. You know what I mean? It's about not being the coin. It's about understanding that it's way bigger, way broader, and that really, at the end of the day, the enemy of humanity is war. The enemy of humanity is hatred. The end of humanity is lack of love and empathy and understanding and the ability to listen. So yeah, there's a lot of bad ideas out there. There's a lot of bad ideas. But at the top of the list, man, at the top of the list will always be war, because war enables all the other bad ideas underneath it. Because as long as there's war and people getting blown up and this and that, the weirdos, the weirdo pedo people get away what they want, and the Satanists get away what they want. All the stuff that people say is evil hides under the veil of war, because war is like real over the top rule breaking. You know what I mean? Like metaphysical rule breaking, which enables all the other metaphysical rule breaking to go on. I mean, it really is the fallen state. And that's why at the end of the day, like, the white pill to this whole thing is freeing yourself by understanding, don't waste any energy in saving this system. Don't. Let it go. Let it go. Take the good stuff. Put the books in your library and apply them to yourself and figure out how to recreate a new matrix, a new grid, dude, because you're not going to get out of it. You can definitely co-create a new reality, but you got to let go of the old one. You got to stop trying to save the system that has written in giant red flashing neon letters, "We hate you." Dude, I don't know what you see out there with the system, but that's the white pill. See, because the minute you realize that you're putting your energy into a black pill system, you no longer will be black pilled, because you'll be white pilled into the truth, the light. The real truth out there is that all potential is possible as long as you abandon the system to itself. Let it do its thing, dude. Just back away. You don't need to fight it. You don't need to yell at it. You just need to focus your attention into family, friends, community, love, empathy, all of these things. So anyway, I don't know, dude. I'll fire up links down below if you want to support the dream and do all that kind of good stuff, and use the name tags, yo.